Welcome to the TPC desktop video series on using Traverse PC for the Public Land Survey System. In this video, we're going to take a look real quickly at doing our drafting or platting inside of Traverse PC. We're going to do some of the things that you would otherwise do in the CAPD that you're currently using, and I'm just going to do kind of a shotgun here and introduce you to some concepts that you can find in other videos inside of Traverse PC. If you go out to our homepage, it's traversepc.com, and click on the More Videos. We've got quite a number of videos out here. The one I think that you'll be interested in is right in the top row, called Quick View. It's just a little over 19 minutes long, and it introduces you to what we call this Quick View concept or Quick View technology. And really it's all about once you've got your data in, Traverse PC draws the plat for you. And you're going to see some of that happen in this video. So let's move that out of the way. Let's come back to our plat. And I started out with really what I call a working drawing. In one of the other videos we entered section 1 to the right here, and we've also entered some information for section 3. And we want to plat these two together as part of this dependent resurvey. Now I'm going to open up the traverses and pin this just for a moment to our desktop, and we're going to see that Traverse PC is drawing these traverses because I've tagged them here in the Traverses Manager. So let's select these 5 traverses that are part of section 1 and untag them. See how it's gone? I tag them and it shows up again. So I basically can tell Traverse PC what I want to include in the drawing. And I'm just going to come back and tag all these. See how I get those 40 lines in there now? And so I've got the data in the survey. I just determine what it is I want to show inside of Traverse PC. Now I'm going to jump right into the Drawings Manager, and just like we created multiple traverses, we can have multiple drawings. I showed you earlier one called Partially Finished Plat, where I started working up the plats the way you guys do. This is great because I can have any number of sections, any number of townships in here. I can have sheet 1 of 2, sheet 2 of 2, however you want to do this. You can have 2 or 3 drawings, you can have 20 or 30 drawings. It's really up to you. I'm just going to double click to start a new drawing, same way I would start a new traverse or enter a new point. I'm going to call this my plat. And I'm going to browse to a template that I created earlier by saving one of your DWG files. And I called it a Dependent Resurvey Drawing Template. Let's go ahead and tell Traverse PC that looks good. And I just started a new drawing based on that template. Now, all of this stuff that's in paper space is stuff that we brought in from the DWG file. We made a few modifications. I want to show you what I mean by that. I'm going to zoom in, for instance, on the scale bar down here, and I'm going to change my scale from 1 to 4,000 to 1 in 1,000. See how that scale bar changes automatically based on that change in scale? Let's go back to the 4,000. Okay. We've also made a block out of that, so if I want to insert a block, and I think I've got that here in the scale bars. So here's the BLM scale bar. Okay, a couple of options here. These have the scale built into the scale bar, just like the one I'm showing you. So I don't have to have one scale bar for a scale of 1 to 1,000 and another scale bar for a scale of 1 to 400. I can just use one scale bar and it works for all the different scales. Now I also want to bring you over here to the right hand side where I've taken some of the text that we had in here and I put it in a group, and I want to explain that to you. Do you see how as I move the cursor over any of the items in this group, they're highlighted? Now I can pick up, I'm just doing this by dragging the mouse, I can pick up this entire group and move it anywhere I want. Okay, groups act a lot like blocks in CAD, but the nice thing about them is that they're not blocks. Okay, so if I want to come in and change some text in this, I can right click, go to Properties like I would anywhere, and I can change this text. and I can add the director's name here, or change the size of that, or change the whatever. Okay. Now it's not so important down here, but when I move up to my text above, I'm actually describing the survey. Now it's very important for me to come over and say, you know what, I want to highlight that text, right click, and go to properties. And now I simply can change whatever I want to change. In CAD I have to explode the block, I have to make the changes, reblock it, all that sort of thing. That just literally goes away inside of Traverse PC. We like these groups, they're just so much easier to work with. So let's zoom back out to our page here, and let's do a couple of things as we get started. First thing I want to do is that I brought in this template some section numbers, just to basically put in the section numbers for a township, so I could show the adjacent sections to the ones I'm working on. Well, I don't need this whole section of sections down here, so I'm going to tell Traverse PC, using some basic CAD type tools, that I want to select all of those, and I'm just going to hide them. Now, when I select a group of objects inside of Traverse PC, it makes an ad hoc group. So I can now come and do an operation or command on one of them. I'm going to hide this one, and they all get hidden. Just kind of a nice thing with Traverse PC, something I think you'll enjoy working with. Now, probably ought to do the same with these, so I can select them one at a time and hide them, or I could have created one of those ad hoc groups and hidden them as well. Now, one of the things I like about Traverse PC's drafting is that if I come over here and highlight the survey space objects, do you see how they're in yellow now versus the paper space objects? Okay. So scale affects just the survey space objects. So I can tell Traverse PC over here on the right, I want to do a zoom extents, and it will fit those survey space objects onto the page for me automatically. Okay. So it scales it, positions it for me. Now I've got a couple of sections over here that I don't want, so I'm going to highlight those again and hide those. I could delete them, but I'm just going to hide them. So I've removed some of the survey objects. If I hit zoom extents, I'm going to get a little bit different size and position. See how that works? So now that I've done a zoom extents, I can come back up to my scale bar and see that Traverse PC just fit that on there at a scale of 1058 feet to the inch. I'm going to pull this down and either type in the scale I want or select one from the list. And now I'm just going to hold down the control key and drag and drop this anywhere on the page that I want. This is one of the really, really neat things about Traverse PC, in that I can pick up a survey very easily like that and position it on the page without having to do all the CAD equivalent of moving everything underneath. It's just so much simpler. This is a good time to show you that we're actually working on a sheet of paper inside of Traverse PC the whole time we're drafting. So even though you can think of Traverse PC as having a model space like AutoCAD, we generally don't use or think of that inside of Traverse PC the same way, because we just think in terms of I'm working on a sheet of paper. If I look at the top of the quick view up here, it tells me I'm on a 24 by 18 sheet of paper. So if I right click, go to print and then print preview, Traverse PC will actually draw that whole sheet for us. And we can see that what I've actually been working on inside of the quick view or the drawing view is everything that's inside that border. Okay? So here's the whole sheet. I'm always working on a sheet of paper when I'm working on a drawing inside of Traverse PC. Let's take a look at how Traverse PC handles coordinates and geodetics inside of a drawing like this. Let's go ahead and zoom in on the north line of section 1 here. I want to bring up something we call drawing settings. Okay? We see the same options in drawing settings that we saw in the Traverse view and the project settings earlier, where I can pick what kind of distance and what kind of direction I want to use inside of Traverse PC. Let's go ahead and tell it, instead of geodetic distance, we just want to do a grid distance. And instead of true bearings, we just want a grid bearing. So watch the bearings here on the top, the north line up here, and watch how they change when I choose OK. So our distance goes from 2655.58 to 2654.77. Our bearing also changed, and I'll just drag this down a little bit here so we can see that a little more clearly. Let's go into drawing settings. Let's change these back to where they were. Our distance is based on mean project elevation, and our bearings, or our directions, are true bearings based on mean course convergence. And when I choose OK, I'm back to where I was. So this is a very simple matter of just telling Traverse PC that I want to plot the same ground distance and true bearings that I used in all of my computations. It's really pretty simple. We see those same options show up in the drawings and the COGO and when we're entering data inside of a Traverse view. Let's go back out to our full page here now, and we can go ahead and finish up the other parts of the drawing, put in information that we want. Let's go ahead and write this out as a DWG file. I'm going to tell Traverse PC that I want to go to Tools and export the drawing as. Let's tell Traverse PC that I want to send this out as an AutoCAD DWG. I pick my version of AutoCAD all the way up through 2011. I generally will go back to like a 2004 so that anyone that has AutoCAD back to that version can read it. I'm just going to say export that now. Traverse PC writes the file, and I'm going to hit the preview button here because even though I don't have AutoCAD on here, I have a copy of DWG TrueView. And let's go ahead and tell it that we want to bring this up and see what it looks like inside of AutoCAD. And let's go ahead and do our zoom extents here. And we can see very quickly that I basically have the same information available to me in AutoCAD that I had available in Traverse PC. The annotations, the line work, the symbols. And what's nice about the drawing that comes over is that everything's ready to go basically as if I had drawn it in CAD. So the north arrow is a block. The scale bar is a block. The paragraphs are M-text. Polylines are polylines. I have the layers that I used inside of Traverse PC become layers inside of CAD. We don't care what CAD program, whether it's an Autodesk product or a Bentley product. It really doesn't matter, Traverse PC. Let's do the same thing for a PDF file. So I'm going to close this out and go to close. Writing a PDF file is a little different, and then I just tell Traverse PC I want to print. And Traverse PC prints or ships with a PDF driver called Traverse PC PDF. So I just simply tell it, okay, I want to write that. Gives me a chance to save it someplace, and I'm going to save it in my documents. That's fine. And in just a moment it'll open up that PDF file for us, and we can see that I now have a format I can send to really anybody that can open it up in Adobe Acrobat Reader. So here's my Plat with the margins and the page size just like I saw them when I previewed Traverse PC. Great thing about this is that if I plot this out on an 18 by 24, it will be exactly to scale. But I can now reproduce this on an 8.5 by 11, or really any size that I want. And although it won't be to scale, I have a scale bar on there, so I can reproduce it for an exhibit or include it in a document quite easily. Traverse PC does a great job with these PDFs. Now, there are lots more things to talk about with the drafting. And what you're going to find is that many of the things you relied on inside of CAPD are already available inside of Traverse PC. You can do so many things here without having to learn a whole new program or updating different pieces. I'm not quite sure how you guys keep track of versions of CMM and GMM and CAPD. I would think it'd be kind of a nightmare. Here we have everything all in one place, start to finish, and I just think that would be a lot simpler to work with.